What's up everybody, and welcome to another episode of Drive to Thrive. Today I got an exciting episode for you because today we get to talk about how to set yourself up and how to prosper during these uncertain times in the world. So make sure to watch all the way through because lots of great content coming your way. But before we get into the video, I just want to thank my sponsors, and the sponsors are you guys. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, commenting on these videos. Without audience like you, this channel and all the other channels out there wouldn't be able to grow. So a huge thank you to all of you guys. And also, since I'm coming up onto my 250th subscriber, this was going to be my second milestone. I would like to hear from you guys what would be an appropriate giveaway. So please leave me those comments below. But without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, so throughout history there are always these uncertain times in the world. There's lots of FUD everywhere, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and these are great times to set yourself up and become wealthier, or at least prosper during these uncertain times. And this is what I want to talk about in this video. So like I mentioned, when I first started this channel, I do want to refer to some of these books that I've read, and all of them mention that during the greatest uncertainty out there is the greatest opportunity to build your wealth. So let's kind of dive into what I'm doing to prosper during these times and what you can do as well. So first of all, I think we all need to save as much money as possible so we have enough cash when opportunities present themselves. So the best way to do that is to create a spreadsheet where you can track all of your money inflow and your money outflow. So the beautiful thing out there is that people have already created templates for these, and one of these sites is this one right here that I came across. It's called Smartsheet, and they got a bunch of Excel spreadsheets already pre-created, and you can download these where you can track your personal budget, you can do your expenses, you can do your business budget, and so on and so forth. So I will leave a link to this site down in the description below. So I have chose this template right here, the personal budget template, and it looks something like this. So this is what it looks like. This all comes pre-filled. These aren't actually my incomes or anything like that, but just for example, you get to see salary, interest, income, dividends, refunds, reimbursements, and so on and so forth. So this is your income column, and then in here you get to also see how much money you're allocating to your savings, for your investment, emergency funds, education, and then you got your expense columns where it tracks all your mortgages, phone bills, maintenance, transportation, daily living costs, entertainment, and literally every aspect of your life. Now the idea is that you track it down to a single penny. If you stop by at a gas station and you buy a pack of gum, you gotta put this down, right? So you have exact picture of how much money is coming in and how much is going out of your account. Now the ideal scenario is you try to save at least 25%. Now I understand some people out there can't afford to save 25% of their paycheck, then try to do at least 5 to 10, whatever you can, right? And as your income grows, you're trying to keep your expenses the same or maybe even less, and that is truly how you can maximize your saving potential. So once I inputted these numbers for my personal budget and my personal expenses, I come to realize that I spent way too much money on eating out. So my goal for this year is to trim that down, not eat as much out, maybe prepare the food at home and bring it to work with me. That way I can expand my saving potential. So my goal for this year is to save 50% of everything that I make. Now in the future, I'd like to do maybe another video just to give you guys tips on how I save on some of these subscriptions and my daily cost of living. So if you would like me to do a video like that, leave me a comment below. Now once you find out exactly how much money you have going in, how much money you have going out, and how much you're able to save, then you can create like a pie chart, something what I did. So I've created this pie chart for this year. Now again, my financial situation is probably different than yours is. Also, somebody in their 20s has different goals than somebody in their 50s. So your risk is obviously different depending on what stage of life you're in and also what your financial situation is. But this is an example of kind of what I'm doing for this year and how I'm planning to grow my wealth. So out of the 50% that I'm going to be saving, 30% of that will be allocated into real estate. Now, again, during these uncertain times, you know, think back to 2008 when you had the financial collapse. You know, a lot of these houses that were selling for 200, 300,000 went down to 100 or even $80,000. Now, people that had money on the side and in their accounts, they were able to take advantage of these low prices. Now, the average home price in the US is sitting between 389,000 as of 2020 and around 409,000 as of 2021. So again, think about these people that bought up these houses for super cheap back in 2008, 2009, 2010, and now their value has quadrupled almost on their investment. So that is the idea, that if we do get a collapse in the housing market, you're able to have that funds and pick up some good properties along the way. Now in Canada, I couldn't believe this when I found it, but an average price in Canada hits an all-time high of $721,000. So that is incredible. I had no idea that houses were actually this expensive here in Canada. $721,000 for an average home price. That is ridiculous, right? So that is my bucket number one, and 30% will be allocated to those savings. Now my bucket number two is going into the stock market. So again, stock market goes up, it goes down, it goes sideways. As a good investor, especially if you're young, you should always try to allocate, let's say 300, 400, 500, whatever you can into the stock market, and just constantly buy. Whether the market is going up, whether the market is dipping down, you should be able to constantly buy, because the idea is that the stock market will always return back to its previous highs and ultimately go even higher than where it was. Now let me show you some charts what I mean. So going back to 1929 here, this is the Great Depression right here. This is the time when the stock market dropped 85%. Now people probably thought this is the end of the world, that's it will never come back. But guess what? People that bought at the bottom, or were at least buying as the stock market was going down, managed to dollar cost average, and then over time, I mean, it took over 20 years, but we did end up getting back to these highs and ultimately breaking those and going even higher. Now if I keep moving along, then you see that back in here in 66 we had this dip. Then also in 70 we had another dip, and then in 74 we had even bigger dip here. So let's see what the 74 dip was. So this time around the stock market fell 48, almost 50% from the peak to the trough here. But guess what? Over time it just ended up breaking those previous highs and going even higher. Then the stock market was looking really good until 2000s. And we all know in 2000 there was the dot-com bubble here. This is where the stock market dropped about 47%. But guess what? Over the next 5-6 years, it ended up going back to its highs. Then we had the financial crisis here in 2008. And then since quantitative easing, we've just been on this crazy parabolic move. Now, I really do think that we'll have another crazy pullback, possibly 50% all the way up to 80%, but I think I'll leave that for a future video. So just another reason, guys, if you haven't subscribed yet and you like this kind of content, please do so and turn on that notification bell so you get notified when I drop those videos. But that is the reason why I want to keep investing into the stock market, but why I'm not allocating like 50-60%, but trying to keep it down to 30%, because we are in these uncertain times, and who knows, maybe the stock market will collapse this year, maybe next year. But you always want to be a buyer just to dollar cost average, especially if you're a younger audience, a younger person who's got 20-30 years ahead of them before they really need that money. So always have that long-term goal in your mind. So that is my second bucket, which will go into the stock market. Now my third allocation, which is going to be 20%, is going into gold and silver. And now, no, I'm not talking about any ETFs or any gold certificates. I mean physical gold and silver, guys. If you don't hold it, you don't own it, right? Like, over history, there's a reason why kings and queens, wealthy individuals, the Catholic Church, states have held on to precious metals, because over time and over centuries, this is the only true way that people were able to preserve wealth. Now, I really do think that if this market crash does come, it's going to be a result because of a currency devaluation and ultimately a currency collapse. Now, I'll show you an article here that has absolutely shocked me. And this article was published on December 18, 2021, and it says 80% of all US dollars in existence were printed in the last 22 months. Went from 4 trillion US dollars in circulation in January 2020 to 20 trillion in October 2021. So think about this, 80% of all the US dollars in circulation currently have been created in the last 22 months. The CPI data has came out of the US pointing to 7% inflation. Now, in reality, I think that inflation is actually more like 16 to 20%. It's just they'll never tell you this because they would scare everybody and everyone would just start selling everything right now. So how do you hedge yourself against inflation? That is with assets, that is with precious metals, and that's why I think buying gold and silver, especially at these prices where they're depressing the market, you know, you have a great opportunity to buy it at relatively cheap prices. But some of the predictions here in the long term is that gold will hit anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000 by the end of 2020s, and silver could be anywhere between $50 to $100. So that gives you a return of 4x. Now, also another crazy picture that I found is this example here that shows you the purchasing power of your dollar. So back here in 1913, you know, when the Fed is created, your $100 were equal to $100. Then along the way, the pink areas here show a recessions along the way. And here in 1933, by the time the Great Depression was done, your $100 was really worth around $75. Then as the time went on here, by the time we got to the 70s, your $100 were only worth about $30. By the time we got to 2003s and 2010s, you know, the financial crisis, your $100 are currently only worth about $3. And now think about it, I just showed you an article that we printed 80% of all the money in existence in the last 22 months. So that $3 now probably became like pennies on the dollar. So now your $100 that were worth $100 in 1913 are probably worth like 20 cents, which is crazy because we've lost 98%, 99% of our purchasing power. So again, gold and silver move with inflation. That's why I think that allocating at least 10 to 20% into precious metals is a smart way to go. But again, remember, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. So that is my bucket number 3. Now my 4th investment is going into cryptocurrencies. And again, because it is relatively new, although people are saying that this is a great way to hedge your money, this is a great way to preserve your wealth. I mean, I'm still not so sure on it, but I do want to buy at least a little bit of Ethereum and Bitcoin as it keeps dropping. And if you guys see my previous video, I did highlight some of these levels that I was looking to invest, and we're definitely approaching those. So I'll start to build up a little bit at a time in my crypto position. So now my final 10% is going into cash, and I think it speaks for itself. So this is where everybody should have at least 10% of cash on hand, you know, in case you need it for emergencies, for unforeseen expenses, medical bills, new appliances, and things like that. So I think it's always good to have that on hand. Now, that is it for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give it a thumbs down, but let me know why you didn't like it, what I can do in the future to improve on these videos. Also, like I mentioned before, since I'm coming up onto my 250 subscribers, please leave me a comment below and let me know what do you think I should do as my giveaway. But that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.